carbon dioxide will last just fine into the 130 hours sometime, perhaps 135 hours thereabouts, and by that time, if we see the carbon dioxide level going up a little bit, we'll probably go back and select the primary cartridge, which we still have available in the LEM, which will be good for about a day. So at the present time, that's our plan relative to the carbon dioxide. At about 113 and a half hours, Jack Swigert and Fred Hayes went on duty, and Jim Lovell went below to take a nap as best he could. Fred reported he had 5 or 6 hours sleep. We have, since that time, not really been doing much with the vehicle. We have had the pilots going back and forth, who's ever on duty, down into the command module to look at the charger currents. This is to keep track of exactly what we're putting in the battery so that we will know what we have in there and we'll know when to terminate the charge. We also want them to go down there and look at that gauge regularly because we don't have any telemetry on the vehicle, and we didn't want anything going on down there that we didn't know about. Discussed the battery malfunction. We had another one visible to the crew for a while at 115 and a half hours, I think, about. And we discussed it again, the fact that we had concluded that it was a sensor, and as I said before, we're continuing to use that battery just fine. We radioed up some information on the trajectory. As I said earlier, we're comfortably within the corridor at a flight path angle of about negative 6.25. A mid-course of approximately 2 feet per second a few hours before entry will put us right back in the middle of the corridor. However, it may not even be required. At last measurement, the mid-course was down to 1.5 feet a second, and for all we know, by tomorrow, the mid-course will be closer to 0, although it may also still remain at the present level. The one report relative to crew comfort is that it's getting fairly difficult to sleep in the command module in that it is getting fairly cool in there. Jim Lovell reported that he's been using the Lunar boots to keep his feet warm, and yesterday we were involved in a discussion as to one of the pilots, I've forgotten which one it was, sleeping in the tunnel, up with his head probably pointing into the lunar module, or perhaps his head pointing away from it. There's not much we can do about that problem right now, so they're going to have to sleep the best they can, either in the LEM or in the tunnel, and stay dressed as warmly as they can on board. That was the shift items. Let me give you an idea of the consumables, and I know you're always interested in those. We discussed the water yesterday. Well, I should say consistently, the water has been running at about the same rate. It's running at just about the same rate now as it was before. You know, we're drawing a little more current out of the LEM batteries now in order to charge the command module battery, but the water profile is staying just about the same. So consistent with the kind of information I was giving you yesterday, assuming that we have to power up for one more mid-course, we're predicting a lifetime on the water of 160 hours, 159 hours. The oxygen is very comfortable. We have a depletion in the LEM of 271 hours, so that's well past the splash time. Depletion of the power at the same rate, except for about 2 hours. If we assume that we continue to use power at the same rate and add in a couple hours for a mid-course, we would have 170 hours of depletion. Now, it's probable that we will use more power tomorrow than the numbers I'm quoting here and get as much useful work out of the LEM in terms of transferring its power over to the CSM as we can. The details of exactly how we are going to accomplish some of the functions tomorrow are not all completely resolved yet. We had a briefing just as I left the control center with the crew as to the timeline, the major events. I assume that everyone heard those as to the sequence of events we would be going through in preparation for any actual entry. Some of the details within those events are still being worked out. We've had crews in